Morning and welcome to a 10 a.m. edition of Creature Guide Live Morning News. Before we get into the news today, we're going to watch a bear say good morning. So I wonder where this is taking place, over in some area of Canada or maybe northeastern United States. Could be over in the Rocky Mountains, but it's quite interesting. It's probably like a 3-year-old walking around. He's being very polite, unlike a lot of bears.
And
Uh,
out
oh no, yeah, you better run from that Polish Pomeranian.
was that a dog or a cat?
That was a Pomeranian. Oh no, run, buddy.
Where'd he go? Oh, that's it.
He didn't take anything. He was almost like, he thought it was an open house, and he was just inspecting the area.
He wanted to see if we wanted to buy it.
Well, for, 150,000 pounds of blueberries, this might work. Okay, so, heading back in time from Sci News. Tiny new species of herbivorous dinosaur unearthed in Spain. A new genus and species of diminutive bipedal dinosaur has been identified from the fossils found in Burgos province of Spain. Well, this is really good to see. I do wonder what part in the Mesozoic era it's coming from, considering this seems to be some species of. Here, let's scroll down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Um, I really do wonder, considering you would probably had certain species of even medium-sized ornithopods back in the late Jurassic, over 152 million years ago. You might have even had certain four-legged individual ornithopods similar to ones like over in North America, such as Camptosaurus. What is interesting though is by the drawing in this depiction, it looks similar to a Gryposaurus, or
Is that a
even
drawing?
I think so. I mean, why you think it's like watercolor or
No, it's not watercolor, but it looks like it's see the highlighting going through it?
oh well, I
Is
mean,
this AI?
if it is a model, no,
Hmm.
I don't think so. No, there's a look.
Yeah. Someone okay.
Even his feet look a little stubby.
Well, I actually looked at them and thought, no, this is an AI.
But, outside of that, oh, yeah, that's true. Those look really good in the background. So it's got a feather-like covering. Um, I guess it just wasn't hitting me when I saw it over here originally. But what is interesting is that this animal seems to have a very distinct thumb spike, which is somewhat seen in, certain Jurassic fauna to an extent when it comes to these ornithopods, and what the ornithopods were is the group of herbivorous dinosaurs that would eventually lead to the larger iguanodontids, a different species of hadrosaurs, the elasmarians, and quite a few were small and mostly bipedal. Likely, this animal it could not walk on all fours. And it's still even a bit of a question as to what they might have used them for, considering they were a bit more mobile compared to later descendants of whatever this individual is. But it is interesting. That's distinct nose structure is not often seen in certain early Cretaceous ornithopods, as well as the late Jurassic. It's
He has a
almost
bubble
non-existent.
nose.
Yeah, likely to probably help create these very low frequency sounds that many species of ornithopods would use to communicate with each other, even over long distances. Um, so yeah, it's likely he's not feeding on any flesh. So Vaskia pallidonum roamed our planet during the early Cretaceous epoch around 120 million years ago. The new species was a member of the Rabidontomorpha. Oh, okay. Well, this is really good to see. So this is an early species of this group. So let's see. A group of ornithischian dinosaurs that lived mainly during the early to late Cretaceous. The ancient animal was diminutive, roughly comparable in size to a modern chicken, marking it distinct from many of its larger ornithischian relatives. From the beginning, we knew these bones were exceptional because of their minute size, said Dr. Fiddle Torcida Fernandez Baldor,
Jesus.
paleontologist at the Dinosaur Museum of Salas de los Infantes. It is equally impressive how the study of this animal overturns global ideas on ornithopod dinosaur evolution. Miniaturization did not imply evolutionary simplicity. This skull is weird and hyper derived, added Dr. Marcos Becerra, paleontologist at the Universidad Nacional de Cordoba. Foscae palindonum helps fill a 70 million year gap, a small key that unlocks a vast missing chapter, said Dr. Thierry Tortosa, paleontologist at the Santa Victoria Natural Reserve. I'm guessing that all these individuals were part of the discovery of this small ornithopod. This is not a mini iguanodon. It is something fundamentally different. Oh, this looks nothing like an iguanodon. Well, outside of the distinct hand structure, it's somewhat similar to that larger species or genus. It did belong to a different group of ornithopods. Um, let's see. Now you could say they did both split off from the same common ancestor back in the Jurassic. Let's see. Its anatomy is weird in precisely the kind of way that rewrites evolutionary trees, said Dr. Penelope Cruzado Caballero, a paleontologist at the Universidad de la Laguna. The fossilized remains of at least five individuals. Whoa, that's good to see. That's not very common that occurs with new species of dinosaurs or even different types of proto mammals, prehistoric mammals, as well as crocodile or marine reptiles of Foscae Pelindonum were collected from the Vegaget site in Burgos province, Spain. The site consists of the red clay floodplain deposits of the Castrillo de la Reina Formation and lies between the Villanueva de Carrazo and Celas de los Infantes municipalities. A histological analysis confirmed that the largest specimen was a sexually mature adult. Huh. Bone microstructure tells us that at least one individual was an adult with a metabolic regime approaching that of small mammals or birds, said Dr. Cohen Stein, researcher at Verhe Universitat Brussels. Knowledge of growth and development is essential if we want to compare the anatomy of Foscae pelindonum with other species. Young individuals are prone to changes in anatomical features as they grow. It is interesting. I do wonder with the smaller ornithopods when it came to especially bone density, did it not change very much throughout their life cycle? Maybe even with similar to certain species of pachycephalosaurs, which belongs to a different group of ornithischians, actually more closely related to the horned dinosaurs, ceratopsians like Triceratops, Microceratops, and as well even certain species of theropod carnivorous dinosaurs, like even smaller species of tyrannosaurs, as they grew, they did not really increase much in bone density compared to their overall, um, like adult or younger counterparts. Let's see. Okay, according to the phylogenetic analysis, Foscae pelindonum is a sister species to the Australian dinosaur Metabarosaurus with Rabidontomorpha and expands the European clade Rabidontia. Yeah, it's true. I believe though Metabarosaurus is specifically a Lasmerian, and I think Rapidontomorphs it is its own distinct group within the Iguanodontid lineage, but I think Metabarosaurus is outside of that lineage. Something like a what is it? It's a species from Cretaceous Eastern Europe. In our results, the plant-eating dinosaurs form a natural group called Dinosauriae, said Dr. Paul Emile Dieudonné, a researcher at the National University of Rio Negro. Also, when it comes to the Rabidontomorphs, there was a large cluster of species. It wasn't just one or two in this specific family of iguanodontids. And they did make it to the very end of the dinosaur age, so around 66 million years ago. This hypothesis should be further tested with more data. Despite its small size, Foscae pelindonum shows specialized dentition and evidence of shifting posture during growth, relying on bursts of speed and dense forests. These fossils prove that evolution experimented just as radically at small body sizes as at large ones. The future of dinosaur research will depend on paying attention to the humble, the fragmentary, the small.
Is there anything you want me to pull up with this?
Yeah. No. Let's see. Um, no, I guess let's just head on to the next video. It's good to see. We got a new ornithopod, especially coming in from Spain in the early Cretaceous. Early Cretaceous, think I also said 120 million years ago. And around that time and further back, they aren't too commonly found over in specifically Southern Europe. Now, Guangdong also shows up much earlier in time, around 135 million years ago, and over in the British Isles, especially England, and possibly certain parts of continental Europe, maybe even Germany, possibly France, but not so much when it comes to Southern Europe. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on here. This is a huge family. I think they're over in some part of the forest. Oh, Kilham Bear Center. Okay, so it's, I guess, a rescue center for the black bears. This seems to be a healthy group,
They seem to have a big area.
and they have a ton of apples or peaches in front of them.
Yeah,
Maybe
and they
they're
don't
apples.
care. Uh,
Something. Whoa, geez, that's a big. Oh, they're all orphans. I thought there was like a mother in the background. I'm thinking that is far too many cubs for a single mother.
How do they get so many orphans at the same size?
Specific time of year that they were capturing them. So, somewhere in the eastern United States. I don't know where exactly.
And they all pick the same tree.
Yeah. Maybe like Missouri or something.
Uh, I wonder what made
Maybe
them all jump
Arkansas.
up there at once.
Maybe an area in Tennessee. Yeah, something spooked them. Could be that they're not too used to people, which if they're trying to rehabilitate them is a good thing.
You don't want them comfortable with people, do you?
No, not if you're trying to release them. You want it where it's minimal contact, so they don't associate people with food, and not just as like safety between the bear and people, but more of just so the animal can find food by itself.
Okay, and this one, it's kind of interesting.
Hmm. There's something about a crocodile sounds like failing its hunt. Whoa, what happened? Oh, they he was being hunted. Okay.
I
Yeah,
didn't
lions occasionally will actively hunt crocodiles. It can be really challenging with larger individuals. That is funny.
How did he get up there?
Crocodiles are decent climbers in the small little, cliffs amongst different rivers.
Oh, someone didn't get their meal.
Yeah, they were really wanting some fried crocodile. Okay, so heading to the next article from theconservation.com. Sea lion camera reveals mother taking pup on educational foraging expedition in the wild. I guess this isn't too commonly seen in, especially, um, but the birthing season or not the calving season. It's not hitting me what specifically you would refer to it when it comes to seals in general. But let's see. Let's take a look. Most seals give birth to a pup around the same time each year and wean them and send them on their way within 12 months in an annual cycle. There are many species of seals where they leave their pups within 12 to 15 days. Australian sea lions are different. They have an 18-month breeding cycle out of sync with the seasons, which has puzzled scientists for years. So, compared to other seals, Australian sea lion mothers spend an extra 6 months or more nursing their pups. Why this is so remains a mystery. Yeah, it is quite interesting with them, specifically Australian sea lions. And also, many people tend to forget outside of, I guess, Australia, that Australia has sea lions. In our latest study, we captured footage of an Australian sea lion mother taking her 11-month-old pup on an 8-hour foraging trip to sea. This footage provides the first direct evidence we have that Australian sea lion mothers pass on foraging skills to their pups, which may have helped shape the unique life and reproductive patterns of this endangered creature. To get a closer look at how Australian sea lions rear their young, we attached an underwater camera, a GPS tracker, and a dive recorder to an 8-year-old sea lion mother from the colony at Seal Bay on Kangaroo Island in South Australia. A few days later, when the mother returned to the colony from sea, we collected the devices, downloaded the data, and took a look at the camera recording. We captured amazing footage of the mother and pup diving at sea together and foraging across different habitats such as sponge gardens, kelp reefs, and large sandy plains. Hmm. Oh, okay. I think this, well, still a bit confusing. So, did she go inland?
That's what it looks like.
It's like she took like some rivers. We were even lucky enough to collect footage of the mother capturing a giant cuttlefish and taking it to the surface to devour, with the pup close by throughout the whole capture. This finding suggests Australian sea lion mothers use social learning to pass on foraging skills to pups and can demonstrate them how to locate, capture, and consume prey. I guess this is also going to provide a very large benefit to the pup's overall survival and ability to reproduce later on compared to other species of seals, which the hunting comes instinctively to the pups, but it can also just simply be more challenging. So, this social learning of foraging behavior from mother to offspring is well known in other marine mammals. Bono's dolphin mothers teach their calves how to use sponges when they forage on the seabed. Orcas and sea otters also inherit dietary preferences from their mothers. In these species, this social learning of behavior is thought to be critical to raising young, assisting them in learning how to hunt challenging prey or to hunt in diverse habitats. Probably what it means in diverse habitats is simply habitats that have a variety of different types of hiding places for their prey to evade them. Let's see what other things. Maybe even different types of predators that are a problem to them in the region. So let's see. So, still images from the camera attached to an adult female Australian sea lion showing her pup traveling across a sponge garden habitat, swimming over bare sand, ascending, and at the surface. Hmm. Yeah, lots going on. It's almost like that plesiosaur scene in Walking with Dinosaurs, which is sort of.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
interesting.
sea lion maneuverability is somewhat where they based the behavior for the um, is it the 3rd or 2nd episode? The 3rd episode, like, of the Cryptoclitus. So, which is the medium-sized species of plesiosaur from the episode, except I don't think there are any pups. Still would have moved quite differently. Sea lions or seals in general, but especially different species of sea lions are much more maneuverable than the long-necked plesiosaurs. Scientists have speculated before that seals may use social learning when raising pups. However, finding direct evidence of these behaviors has remained elusive. Earlier research has suggested Australian sea lion pups require lots of experience and knowledge of foraging grounds to hunt successfully. Therefore, the extra months pups spend with their mothers may provide the opportunity for them to develop their foraging skills while accompanying them on trips at sea. The video we collected in this study provides exciting new insight into evolutionary and ecological factors that may have helped shape the unique 18-month breeding cycle and life of the Australian sea lion. Social learning may be an important component of the developing of foraging behavior in Australian sea lion pups. Australian sea lion mothers take sole care in raising their pups, so they are critical to the survival of the pups and the success of Australian sea lion populations. Australian sea lions are endangered, with their populations declining by more than 60% over the last 40 years. That's interesting. If there's one group of animals that actually have not been paying too much attention to almost at all is the Australian sea lion population. Like, I'll take a look at South American sea lions, California sea lions, the Stellar sea lions over in Alaska. Um, but technically, they range much further down, like even further south in Oregon. But not the Australian sea lions, or you could even say seals out off of South Africa. So this is a bit concerning. Continued research using underwater cameras will improve our knowledge on the unique lives of Australian sea lions. Understanding the ecology and evolutionary biology of the species is key to protecting their populations into the future. Okay, well, um, I guess that was good to see when it came to those specific pictures of the sea lion with its pup. So, let's head on to the next video. Oh, whenever this is occurring. So it's just some raccoon pups or cubs battling the wind, it seems, along with the very tricky fence posts.
I think they're testing obstacle courses.
It seems that way.
I just thought it was funny. It's like, the where's the mother? Is she, like, further down going, "Come on, you guys can do it." Oh, wait, I think we just
No, this no, what this is this is like Navy SEAL training for these raccoons. They seem very focused, and they're trying to sneak up on probably somebody's lunch. Who's going to steal the peanut butter? Who's going to carry the jam? That's their motto. Okay. All right. So we have a red fox, probably somewhere over in um, thought Russia for a second.
and fish.
This could be like Minnesota.
Wait,
Oh, he took a fish.
and wait,
He took the.
wait,
Oh, like no, 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 no.
I
I'm
want
not leaving
both.
this.
He needs both. It he keeps watching. "Stop following me." Well, that's one big meal for that guy.
I'm glad he got a lot of fish. So from nywolf.org, Wolf Conservation Center study finds coastal coyotes preserve red wolf ancestry through survival and adaptation. Well, this isn't new. I wonder if something else popped up with the DNA analysis, but we've known this since at least the late 2010s. So over on Galveston Island, the coyotes over there, last time I checked, I believe had somewhere around 17% red wolf DNA. So these are, in a sense, coy wolves, but to a lesser extent with wolf ancestry than compared to certain populations over the northeastern United States and certain parts of eastern Canada. So, distinct body form and high survival of coastal coyotes along the Texas Louisiana border region allows coyotes harboring red wolf ancestry to persist decades after the red wolf's extirpation from the region. A new study led by the Wolf Conservation Center Integrative Ecology and Coexistence Lab and published in Ecosphere reveals how red wolf ancestry has persisted for more than 4 decades after the red wolf was declared extirpated from the wild. Well, this isn't necessarily too surprising. I mean, you have it with different species of animals, even people, where um, specific, or I guess a better term would be hominids, um, specific species that they hybridized with, they still carry a large proportion of their DNA. So let's see. The research shows that a combination of distinctive physical traits adapted to coastal wetlands and high survival has allowed coyotes to harbor, maintain, and pass on red wolf genetics. The study focused on hybrid like coyotes, referred to as Gulf Coast canids, living in coastal wetlands along the Gulf of Mexico that retain significant red wolf ancestry. Um, I think what is interesting, it doesn't just seem to be Galveston Island. It sounds like even along different parts of the marshes of Louisiana, different areas of Mississippi, probably. I would doubt even over into Alabama and Florida. So if it's not just Texas, this is really interesting to see, and especially if it reaches all the way to the Everglades. So in southern Florida. Let's see. Two, um, Okay, researchers found that these coastal coyotes form a stable, locally adapted wetland ecotype shaped by historical red wolf integration and strong preference for wetland environments. So yeah, the red wolf existed as far west as East Texas, whereas you would have had different subspecies of gray wolves inhabiting the other parts of west, central, and northern Texas, even probably the southern part of the state. Yeah, you can clearly wow, I really wonder how much he has. You can clearly see that there are different red wolf traits. This is not a pure coyote, and he's a collared one.
Hey, it looks strange.
Yeah, I'd say he looks a bit
I'm
maybe
sure the wetness isn't helping, but
Um, it's just a very distinctive sort of look and also a darker coloration, a bit more of a pronounced snout, like a bit more broader than what you see in a coyote. A coyote, it's a bit more narrow, but it's got a very, when you look at the fur structure, maybe even the cheeks, a, kind of a puffy face. Not that wolves can't have puffy faces, but it's more solid. Whereas coyotes, it's like, um, especially during the winter. They're always prepared for a picture. Morphological analyses revealed that Gulf Coast canids are tall, lanky coyotes with small coyote like heads and large red wolf like ears. Really? Well, I mean, okay, compared to a pure red wolf, yeah, he's going to have a smaller face, but for a coyote, at least by this view, it seems to be much more broad.
I thought he resembled Dumbo.
Um, okay, yeah, I guess you could say that when it comes to his 40 or 35 million-year-old relatives, the more Ethereum, which had a very small trunk.
I was
Was
referring to his ears.
Oh, yeah, they barely had ears back then. Um, Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's what yeah, the red wolf is definitely it's also giving them much more broader ears. Coyotes tend to be a bit more if you're not from North America, coyotes tend to have a much more, I guess, pointed sort of a ear structure, so a bit more narrow as well. Um Let's see what else. It said you have lanky legs. I guess, yeah, I can see that. Coyotes might be a bit more stocky compared to red wolves and even um, gray wolves. It's not that you won't have necessarily quite a bit of muscle on gray wolf legs, but it's just because of also their shorter stature. Coyotes are just a bit more stocky, almost like looking at a desert warthog from Somalia and then looking at a savanna warthog from, like, a certain area of Zambia or Botswana. Um, okay, so let's see. These traits likely improve movement in unstable, muddy, and inundated terrains of coastal marshes and floodplains. The small heads of canids indicate that selection favored locomotion and mobility rather than killing ability. Equally important, the study found that Gulf Coast canids experienced unusually high annual survival compared to most coyote populations elsewhere in North America. Interesting. It's almost like they know to maybe not raid livestock, but I don't know, those wolves over in California would disagree, and at least that specific pack or two. But hmm, I don't know. Maybe it's just better access to prey sources. They
Is that collar huge or is it just me?
deal less with dogs. Um, yeah, it is. It does seem quite large, but I'm guessing it's very lightweight.
But I meant they put those little tiny things on bats, and it has to be that big on him or her, whatever
Y-
it is.
yeah, I don't understand why. I'm not sure. I think eventually it falls off, or they just happen to track him and tranquilize him a little later on. Equally important, the study found that Gulf Coast canids experienced already said this. Coastal wetlands function as partial refuges from human activity, such as hunting and lethal control, allowing Gulf Coast canids to survive long enough to disperse and fill breeding vacancies across extensive areas, which facilities gene flow on the landscape. Was that supposed to be facilitates instead of facilities?
Yes.
This elevated survival appears to be the key factor enabling red wolf ancestry to persist. Survival matters, said Dr. Joseph Heighton, lead author and senior research scientist for the Wolf Conservation Center. When it's a rising tide that lifts all boats, it facilitates safe movements across the landscape that allows coyotes to move their admixed genetics into other areas along the coast. In this case, the coastal wetlands are functioning as a refuge not just for the coyotes, but for the red wolf's genetic legacy in the region. The morphology of the wetland ecotype reflects the demands on canids for persisting in those wetlands. This is interesting. I do wonder though, are they all the way to the east, extreme east? The researchers suggest that Gulf Coast canids may function as a regional source population with dispersing individuals, moving red wolf ancestry into adjacent areas inland while remaining morphologically and genetically distinct themselves. The Wolf Conservation Center advances the recovery of conservation of wolves through science, education, and advocacy. This research provides new insights into how the red wolf's legacy may persist within their historical range through important population processes and may be used to improve recovery of red wolf populations. Well, that's unfortunate. We don't know exactly. I guess I'll have to take a little look into if they're all the way in Florida, or I guess up into possibly North Carolina, so including South Carolina as well, which is where the last remaining wild red wolf population is. They haven't been getting any newcomers from breeding programs, especially from New York State, which has quite a few. I believe there's somewhere around 300 captive wolves, red wolves in captivity. Now, the unfortunate thing is they don't have a lot of genetic variety, but when it comes to just simply keeping the species alive, um, I sort of wonder if there's certain rules or laws from just preventing them from being released into the area, or possibly just certain other people, maybe even in the region, preventing it. So let's head on to the next video. Let's see. So,
Is this the
hey,
same thing?
jaguar. I don't think so. This looks like completely different background, and the jaguar was in the tree last time. So ambushing a caiman. Oh, eating a fish. Well, that's great.
Somebody got breakfast.
Somebody was having breakfast, and then somebody else. he-
Is that literally the definition of the circle of life?
Yeah, he was munching on some eggs, and the jaguar came in for the omelet.
I like how
Or
he pulls him away from the water.
Um, yeah, also probably just being less exposed, not necessarily from other caimans, but from other jaguars in the region. He just likes to be hidden. Completely understandable. So, heading back in time somewhat from Sci News, Japanese archipelago was once a refuge for cave lions. Between 73,000 and 20,000 years ago, or the late Pleistocene or the Ice Age, the Japanese archipelago was inhabited by cave lions, Panthera spilea. According to a new genetic and uh, proteomic analysis of fossilized felid remains previously attributed to tigers, Panthera tigris. I don't think this is new for recognizing that cave lions were over in Japan. In fact, I didn't hear of tigers reaching Japan, so this is quite interesting that this is being mentioned. But yeah, this is not a cave painting from Japan. This is over in the Chavat Cave over in France, which I think is somewhere around 40,000 years old. And these are supposed to represent the pride of cave lions.
How did you know that without reading it?
Um, I've seen this painting for years, so it's still really well done. Now, Um, what is it? Specifically, this is also somewhat more proof that cave lions likely didn't have manes. And there's something else, unlike today's African lions or even Asiatic lions, which are generally subspecies of Africa of Panthera leo, are just quite heavily inbred, which is why they tend to look quite sick. But besides that, um, there's also something else about the morphology of the neck structure of the Ice Age cave lion that indicates it probably didn't have a mane. Maybe a bit of extra fur out to the side of its face, like with what you see in certain Siberian tigers. But outside of that, pretty much it. Because you can even see like a distinct outline over here, which might indicate that slight hair distinction. And what's another thing? Even the American lion over in North America during the Ice Age, which was even larger than the cave lion. Cave lions are about the size of large African lions today, so probably pushing somewhere between 550 to around 750 pounds, or anywhere between 370 kilograms to around um no, I guess somewhere around 370 kilograms.
Is this guy a bear?
No, these are all. Oh, yeah, I think I see what you mean. I think they're all supposed to represent lions.
Well, that has little ears.
Um,
Well, they all had little
yeah,
ears
they all
except for this
somewhat do,
guy.
which would make sense for the colder environment that they exist in. Also, well, not just little, they have very round ears, which is a bit of a Asiatic sort of trait with what you see in different species of bears or subspecies of bears in the region. Um, well, technically, the Asiatic black bear is its own distinct species. I was also thinking of the Asiatic brown bears, but the cave lion never entered North America, which is interesting, considering you had a wide range of different species of animals that would have entered North America during the Ice Age, lived at the same time the cave lion, and cave lion just didn't make it into the region. And the same thing occurred for different species of even bears in the area. So it did inhabit different parts of Europe and Asia, but never didn't for some reason enter Africa or North America. So lions and tigers were widespread apex predators during the late Pleistocene, integral components of East Asian megafauna. Cave lions predominantly inhabited northern Eurasia, whereas tigers were distributed farther south. Yet tigers just simply stuck to, well, you could find them in Central Asia as well, even approaching, I think, certain areas of Turkey historically. It's over in Southwest Asia. But they mainly inhabited different parts of more of Southern Asia and Central Asia. As dominant apex predators, lions and tigers likely shaped the evolutionary pathways of other sympatric carnivores, though through both direct and indirect competition, and influenced herbivore populations through predation since they emerged approximately 2 million years ago, said Peking University researcher Xujin Lu and colleagues. Possibly even further back when it comes to lions, maybe 2.5 million years, which is a big difference. I mean, that's 500,000 years of evolution. So later, lions and tigers may have become significant competitors to one another when lions dispersed out of Africa around 1 million years ago and began expanding their range across Eurasia. Is it only that long ago? I think it was much further back, even when it comes to them leaving Africa. Today, however, their geographic ranges no longer overlap due to extensive contractions that occurred across Southwest Eurasia by the early 20th century, driven by anthropogenic activities. The closest existing populations are now more than 300 kilometers apart in India. Um, if you're talking, oh, okay, lions and tigers. Yeah, it's pretty true. In contrast, during the late Pleistocene, range overlap and interactions between lions and tigers may have occurred more frequently along a transition zone, named the Lion Tiger Transition Belt, stretching across Eurasia from the Middle East through Central Asia to the Far East. I'm actually glad that lions and tigers over in India are quite separated at this point because over in India specifically, mainly for how few of the tigers there are, because the lions, even I think for how despite their low genetic variety in India, that small population of lions would dominate the tigers. It's just been um, seen or filmed several times where anytime there's tigers amongst lions, the tigers just submit. Like they really want nothing to do with the lions. So I would just think they would immediately outcompete the tigers. And so I'm glad that there's quite a distance from them at the moment. Let's see. Um, Let's see. In contrast, during the late Pleistocene, range overlap and interactions between lions and tigers may have occurred more frequently along a transition zone, named the Lion Tiger Transition Belt, stretching across Eurasia from the Middle East through Central Asia to the Far East. At the easternmost edge of this zone, the Japanese archipelago has long been considered a late Pleistocene tiger refugium, supported by large felid subfossils traditionally attributed to tigers, though their taxonomic identity remained unresolved.
Floppy Rabbit on Kick said, "That's amazing because tigers are huge."
Um, yeah, even when it comes to Siberian tigers coming up against lions, which can reach somewhere around the same size, or if not occasionally where the lion might be slightly larger, they just submit. They try to make themselves intimidating by splaying their arms and making that distinctive like tiger um, roar, whereas lions can somewhat, but they tend to make a series of different types of growls, and it just doesn't work. So let's see. To clarify the origin and evolutionary history of Japan's Pleistocene felids, the researchers re examined 26 subfossil remains recovered from several sites across the Japanese archipelago. Using mitochondrial and nuclear genome hybridization, capture, and sequencing, paleoproteomics, Bayesian molecular dating, and radiocarbon dating, We found that all ancient Japanese tiger remains yielding molecular data were unexpectedly cave lions. I don't know what Bayesian molecular dating is. I actually haven't heard of that.
There it is. Hold on.
So, despite extremely low endogenous DNA content in most specimens, the scientists were able to recover 5 nearly complete mitochondrial genomes and 1 partial nuclear genome. Yeah, it's really good to see. I am kind of surprised. I mean, um, oh, okay. So, a powerful statistical framework that combines molecular sequence data with fossil evidence to estimate the timing of evolutionary events and species divergences. Oh, okay. Um, all right, so that's definitely going to give a lot of info, or that is what gives us the info on when different types of animals like diverged throughout many areas of time. So not just the Cenozoic. That's I knew in the middle. Okay, so their phylogenetic analysis showed that the Japanese specimens wait, formed a well-supported monophyletic group nested within the late Pleistocene cave lion lineage known as Spelea 1. A nuclear genome analysis of the best preserved specimen confirmed this result, separating lion lineages from tigers. A proteomic analysis further identified a diagnostic amino acid variant in alpha 2HS glycoprotein that matched lions rather than tigers. According to the team, cave lions dispersed to the Japanese archipelago between about 72,700 and 37,500 years ago, when a land bridge connected northern Japan to the mainland during the last glacial period. The animals reached even the southwestern regions of the archipelago, despite habitats previously thought to favor tigers. That is interesting. Okay, that I didn't know. Specifically, the cave lions weren't in Japan for a very long time. It's recent that they occurred, and then unfortunately they vanished. So that's quite interesting. I mean, for less than 80,000 years over in Japan. Not even 80,000 if you really look at it. 60,000 years. The animals reached even the southwestern regions. Oh, I already said that. They coexisted with wolves, brown bears, Asiatic black bears, and early human populations. Oh, there are also mammoths who had larger species of deer in the region, possibly even woolly rhinos. Uh, Possibly an early relative of bison or ice age relative of bison and oryx or domestic cows. There's somebody else. If I didn't say reindeer, them too. Possibly moose. Let's see. So, forming an integral part of the late Pleistocene ecosystem of the archipelago. The authors suggest that the Spelea 1 cave lions persisted in the Japanese archipelago for at least 20,000 years after their extinction in Eurasia. Oh. Whoa. Wow. Why? How? That is interesting. And potentially more than 10,000 years after their final disappearance from eastern Beringia. Wow. Japan, I wasn't expecting that. Japan was a refuge for these animals. And if the cave lions it was a refuge for, probably the mammoths, the rhinos, and even the reindeer and moose for an extended period of time as well. This is interesting. So, future re examination of lion and tiger subfossil remains across midland to Eurasia will be essential for clarifying species range dynamics and resolving the oscillations of the lion tiger belt. Oscillations. Yeah, this is quite really fascinating to see. I wonder why. I guess the mammoth steppe just wasn't having that big of a decrease in area until much later in time compared to different parts of Eurasia and then even the area between Alaska and Russia, which is the Beringia land bridge. At least in larger or colder, larger glacial maximums. So when there were many more glaciers on the landscape and animals had to move further south, not just because of harsher winters, but because glaciers literally covered the landscape and there wasn't anywhere for them to settle besides certain valleys in between it. So, let's head to the next video. Now, winters would have been extremely harsh as well. Okay, let's see what's going on here.
I just thought it was funny, and I checked, it said it's not AI. It
Ah,
said there's videos of this going back years.
mm, hmm. I guess I'm surprised because it's barely having to put any pressure. I mean, it is a smaller trampoline. Hmm.
Well, its pressure comes when it comes down. It's flying it looks like it's flapping to go up, but once it flops down is when it's bouncing.
Yes. That's really interesting. Okay, so somewhere in the Panna Tiger Reserve, I'm guessing over in some part of India. What's he stalking? A gar, or maybe a axis? Not an axis. A cheetah or the spotted deer. I think there are axis deer in the region too. Oh, yep, that's probably what it is. There we go. Oh, that's really good to see.
And
Oh,
then
oh, there's a cub. Or these are cubs hunting.
"Hey, you caught breakfast." "Oh, is that mom?"
Yep, she looks much bigger. Interesting. I thought they were close to full grown. I
And
mean,
she
they
looked
definitely
over
on
at
their
the
way.
camera. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's jump forward. And yeah, she looks over at the camera. Huh, I didn't notice that before.
So, it was good to see from AfricaGeographic.com how an invasive ant is sabotaging lion hunts in Laikipia. Yeah, I've heard of this. Um, though, did we not go over this before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so here we have a young male. I think that zebra's fake. The ant, though, is authentic. So, big headed ants overwhelm native defenders, reshaping lion habitat by exposing whistling thorn trees to elephants. Elephants damage unprotected trees 5 to 7 times more in invaded areas. Tree loss increases visibility, transforming dense savanna to open plains. Lions struggle to ambush zebra, with kills far less likely in areas with higher visibility. Lion numbers stay stable by switching prey, increasingly selecting more dangerous prey such as African buffalo. So, a study from Kenya has documented how an invasive insect, the big headed ant, is reshaping Laikipia's savanna landscape with measurable consequences for some of the region's most iconic species. Beyond altering the appearance of the landscape, this has long lasting implications across the ecosystem, from ants to trees to elephants and finally to apex predators. The research shows that the spread of the big headed ant is indirectly reducing lions' ability to hunt their primary prey, the plain zebra, by altering the savanna. Yeah, there was something ecologically massive that this specific species of ant was changing over in Kenya. And I think it's referring to the Serengeti ecosystem. So, over in different parts of Serengeti National Park, the Masai Mara, and the adjacent protective areas. So the big-headed ant, Phaidole megacephala, is native to islands in the Indian Ocean, but is spread widely through global trade and human movement. In Laikipia, Kenya, it has invaded large areas of savanna dominated by the whistling thorn tree, Vachelier uh, drepenolobium. So these trees rely on a mutualism with native acacia ants of the genus Crematogaster. The trees provide nectar and shelter, and in return, the ants aggressively defend them. The ants physically defend the tree by swarming, biting, and harassing herbivores that attempt to browse it. Yeah, giraffes, though, have uniquely evolved to be quite immune to these ants to a certain extent. I do wonder if occasionally they're eating them. This defense is particularly effective against elephants. When elephants browse whistling thorn trees that do not play host to these ants, they can break branches or knock over entire trees. The study shows that where big-headed ants arrive, they numerically overwhelm and completely exterminate Crematogaster ants. Unlike the native ants, the invaders do not protect the trees. As a result, elephants browse and damage trees at 5 to 7 times the rate seen in uninvaded areas. Whoa. Now that is shocking. I wasn't expecting that. I was just thinking, well, occasionally, elephants just want to munch on some leaves or wood. especially the wood. It's not necessarily providing a lot of nutrients, the leaves much more so. I didn't expect this. Wow, the ants really do deter them. So this is an elephant leaving a water hole in the Old Pahita Conservancy in Laikipia, Kenya.
What
Okay.
is he?
It's a bush elephant. Um, I'm guessing what is at least like a 6-ton individual. Whistling thorn trees are a foundation species in much of East Africa's savanna. In some areas, they account for more than 70% of woody plants and often far more. Well, there are also areas within the Serengeti ecosystem that are specifically acacia savanna. So when you hear that elephants push trees to make way for grasslands, uh, that's a bit overestimated. And also, as you can see from these ants, they really try to protect the trees, especially from the elephants. The giraffes aren't pushing over the trees, they're just taking bits of leaves here and there. Their density shapes how open or closed the landscape is. Yeah, well, in this instance, with the help of that Indian ant, then yeah, the elephant is coming over and creating more open landscape, which isn't necessarily good for these forest acacia areas. Okay, let's see. As elephants damage unprotected trees, tree cover declines and visibility increases. Experimental plots and studies showed that after 3 years, the visibility in invaded areas was 2.67 times higher than in comparable uninvaded plots where elephants were present. It's got be a bit of a even more ugly landscape as well because you have just open stumps everywhere.
No animal.
Yeah, it's annoying. I thought like maybe there's a zebra in the background, but it's just a water hole with young acacias. There are also many different species of acacias. It's not just that common one, which I don't know the distinct species of. Maybe it's acacia over at the beginning of The Lion King or throughout the movie.
Wait, did you say the tree is called acacia acacia?
I think so. You have quite a few different species of animals as well as plants, fungi that are named with their species name is the same as their genus. Sometimes very close to even the family name. You just add the "-i" at the end, or "aoidae," depends. So, a clump of whistling thorn trees in Laikipia. The study describes a roughly 2-decade cascade that began when the big-headed ants arrived in Laikipia in the early 2000s and started spreading at about 50 meters per year, killing native Crematogaster ants. I will say, though, when I looked at what was occurring, or the first time I saw something related to, well, based on the same topic. I don't recall the rates that the elephants were destroying the trees. So this is definitely new. Over the longer term, 2003 to 2020, the extent of dense whistling thorn habitat steadily declined, transforming parts of the savanna from thick, low visibility woodland into more open, high visibility landscapes.
Is everyone that watching us following us?
Wow. If these are specifically those big-headed ants, wait a second. Oh, never mind. It's the Chromatogaster nigriceps ants. So we like these guys specifically for the acacia. So they're the defenders of the acacia. They almost look like raisins or I don't know, some sort of small raisin. Okay, they're grapes. It's not hitting me what other sort of dessert, somewhat dessert. Lions in the system in Laikipia are ambush predators. They rely on vegetation cover to approach prey closely before attacking. Well, this is also specifically a distinct type of camouflage because most tend to associate lion just out there in open grassland, also slightly taller grasses, and especially during the dry season to help camouflage them. But it really depends on what ecosystem the subspecies of lion is in. If you're over in certain areas of even Senegal and Western Africa, different parts of Nigeria, though you have a slightly different ecosystems. If you're focusing in Senegal, it can be quite forested in these specific areas. They're also just adjacent to certain Western chimpanzee populations. It's not the same type of forest that you see over in Eastern Africa or different parts of Central Africa, like with the rainforest in those regions. Even Western Africa has a bit of rainforest. But Or you're over in Kruger National Park, and it can be quite acacia bush mixed. And then you're over in Namibia, over in southwestern Africa, and they're relying on the desert itself. And they're just trees here and there. And there's enough to supply giraffes and even elephants with food. So let's see. What was I thinking of? Oh yeah, but in this area, they're specifically relying on these dense acacia woodlands. So let's see. Plain zebra, which make up around half of the wild ungulates killed by lions at Old Pahita Conservancy. It is interesting because also I think a little earlier on it used to be more associated with lions that they would hunt zebra, like for the most part. And then, wildebeest became a bit more known with the carnivore. And I guess in more recent times, it seems to be Cape buffalo are consistently being seen taken by lions. It's all of a sudden some people even forgotten that they fed on zebra. Um, that is interesting, and also it depends on the ecosystem. In this case, that their a larger percentage of their diet is technically zebra. So are particularly sensitive to visibility because early detection of predators increases their chance of escape. Um, well, it is interesting that it's mentioning this, considering in different areas where lions are hunting zebras, like unless there's a little somewhat hill that's blocking their visibility, you do tend to see them around certain acacia areas, even where there's sparse acacia, where they're trying to sneak up on zebras. Whereas, well, I mean, it can happen with Cape Buffalo as well. Now, let's keep going. The researchers tracked lions using GPS collars, mapped zebra densities, and investigated confirmed kill sites between 2003 and 2020. Well, it's quite some time. They found that zebra kills were far less likely in areas with higher visibility. So the acacias are benefiting the lions. Wait a second.
But
Yeah.
they weren't benefiting the lions.
No, they are because it's showing they were less likely in areas where the acacias were fell or where they had been pushed over by the elephants. So this is causing a problem when it comes to lions hunting zebras, is specifically this conservancy. At typical now, there are certain areas where it's a bit more open and lions have become a bit more accustomed to hunting zebras, but in that specific way. But I think it's because they're also hunting on other herbivores in the region. So likely focusing on Cape buffalo and maybe sometimes wildebeest, but they'll even stock wildebeest in more covered areas, which can be the case in certain areas of the Serengeti ecosystem, especially along certain migration routes of the wildebeest. They have to go through certain dense acacia woodland. At typical visibility levels, the probability of zebra kill occurrence was 2.87 times higher in uninvaded than in invaded savanna. Wait a second. Oh, okay. So, which areas the big headed ant had massive effect on the region? So, what is interesting, oh, okay, I was going to compare that to the elephant, incidents. That's no, this is, of course, going to be much less because we're talking about carnivore kills. In practical terms, more open landscapes created by ant-driven tree loss reduce lions' effectiveness at catching zebra. Importantly, the study found no evidence that zebras simply avoided invaded areas or that lions shifted their activity to denser vegetation. Instead, hunting success itself declined where cover was reduced. Um, Lion suss out giraffe hunting opportunity in Opahita, Lakipia. I'm going to guess the conservancy has this isn't a specific area where those trees are present, or it really has. That ant has had a massive effect on the ecosystem. I'm guessing because these individuals would be the giraffes would be looking for acacias.
Everything behind them looks dead.
Yeah. What on earth? Hmm. I'm really wondering.
And why are they there?
Um yeah, all these look like adults. It's not that lions can't go after adults, but it is quite challenging. I don't
Especially if
know.
they get kicked.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any of them, yeah, that is a big risk, but I'm not sure if any of them are pregnant. Maybe a foal was recently born or a calf. Despite killing fewer zebras, lion numbers at Olpahita remained stable over more than a decade of monitoring. So they're adaptive. That's good to see. The study explains this stability through prey switching. As zebras became harder to catch, lions increasingly hunted African buffalo, a larger, more dangerous prey species. From 2003 to 2020, the proportion of lion kills of zebra declined from 67% to 42%. That's quite a decrease. While buffalo increased from 0% to 42% of recorded kills. They weren't eating them at all. And they decided that's it. We're going to stick to bovid beef. And even though Cape Buffalo are quite distantly related to oryx, they're still members of the bovidae family, so I just called them beef. Um, those okay. Well, you couldn't call bison beef. What? Just buffalo meat. Interesting. Wow, that is something.
Yeah, 0 to 42? How does that even happen?
I don't know. Maybe like occasionally, and the 1% just probably could. I wouldn't doubt like occasionally they were hunting buffalo, but it was so low you couldn't even include it as really percentage. This shift occurred even though zebra and buffalo population densities did not show clear directional changes over the period measured. The change reflected altered catchability rather than prey abundance. Prey switching is a known ecological mechanism that can stabilize predator populations, but it carries cost. Buffalo hunts typically involve larger groups of lions and a higher risk of injury, and the long term consequences of increased reliance on such prey remain uncertain. As you can see, he is or she is not complaining. So the study's central message is not only about lions or ants, but about how invasive species can trigger hidden but very serious disruptions. By breaking a single mutualistic relationship, the big-headed ants altered tree cover across the landscape. That physical change reshaped predator-prey interactions at the top of the food chain. The authors caution that the invasion is ongoing, spreading at roughly 50 meters per year. It's interesting. They actually make that. Actually, that's a lot for ants, but what is that? Somewhere around 160 feet or so, or more. Let's see. Where was I getting at though? That might be like 170, 280 feet. Um, I'm just kind of thinking of like when they claim like the Amazon rainforest, like each minute or second, a whole football field is being taken out. It's like I'm pretty sure it would be gone by long ago. But with these ants moving that far each year, I mean, that is pretty concerning, and we're how far of an area too? Because it's just saying 50 meters in one direction, so that is quite concerning.
I mean, how wide?
Um, yeah, that's true, like, how wide of an area, and yeah, mainly because the elephants are just going to also keep pushing over the acacias, and you don't want it where they're also wiping out the ants. Well, they are making them extinct in this specific region. Okay, and that the system has not yet reached equilibrium. While lions have so far compensated through prey switching, the degree to which such stability can be maintained as big headed ants advance across the landscape remains unknown. I guess the question is how abundant are the Cape buffalo in this landscape? No management solution is proposed in the study. Instead, it serves as an alarm. Full consequences for lions, their prey, and the broader savanna ecosystem are still unfolding. In this case, a small ant has demonstrated the interconnectedness of ecological systems, and readily those connections can be disrupted. Well, we're getting food, so I'm all right. Oh, I even see some. It says spotting buffaloes on the plains. Yeah, okay. I'm coming up with a plan. Um, anything else?
Let me go
No.
get the girls.
Yeah. Unless it's a calf.
Oh, stop moving that. It's making me nuts.
All right. Well, this is shocking to hear. Let's head over to the next video. Oh, from the Voyagers Wolf Project, something fishy. Okay, past spring was the 10th year we have documented wolves hunting and catching fish. A behavior that has not been documented in boreal systems such as ours until our work, in part because it's a tough behavior to observe. Yeah, it's more common to see over off the coast of British Columbia, maybe even Southeast Alaska with the sea wolf subspecies, which even go after younger sea lions. scavenge whale carcasses off the coast. Interesting. Wonder what type of fish he got. Or, yeah,
It's not small.
seems to be the summertime too.
Wait, are they just putting the fish there?
I don't think so. I think he dropped it.
He dropped that one? So he was carrying 2?
Yeah. 46 hours later, though, it definitely created quite a stench.
He's like, I don't know if I wanna eat this."
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like,
He
mm,
just looks it's like, "I'm not sure this is any good."
yeah,
Eh.
it's not good. Wow. Well, maybe. I don't know. No, just get it. Just get a fresh fish. Don't do it. Get a fresh fish. There you go. There you go. That's the intelligent part. He's even mad about it.
I know.
No, 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 no. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say 57 hours later. Don't do it. No, not you. Don't do it. Get a fresh fish. No. How could you? It's like, yeah, I kind of regret that. If you look at his face,
I don't
like,
feel good.
yeah,
Uh,
I told you. Why didn't you just get a fresh fish?
I think it's a different wolf.
Oh, yeah, it does. Well, I mean, it's 57 hours later. I'm not sure. I don't know. It didn't mention a difference in time. Oh, it probably dropped it. Maybe that's what happened.
Oh, it came back.
Yeah.
Oh, it did have both.
Okay, it was a good decision.
Huh, okay.
Both of these animals were just proving that they do not like bad food. Okay, so from mlive.com over in Michigan, hoping that river smells like home. Okay, for a second I thought we were in India because I saw the thing smell and river. So I'm thinking, bubbles and all sorts of bad stuff.
I just like the sound of this article, that's why I picked it.
Um, Great Lakes whitefish efforts turn to tributaries, but it looks like we're over in somewhere in the North American boreal forest. That's a good view. Stocking white fish eggs in Michigan's Jordan River. It's smaller, I think, now. Okay, well, oh, I see what's going on here. Whoa, those are eggs. Well, those are good to see. Fertilized eggs. So I guess they're just injecting them.
I don't know why I find this funny.
Researchers, whitefish eggs in plastic nursery. Researchers spread whitefish eggs into the waffle grid nursery trays before bolting them shut while at the Little Traverse Bay Bands of Ottawa Fish Hatchery in Pelston, Michigan. Hmm, wow. So, yeah, Wednesday 11th, pretty recently. Huh.
I'd have to wear glasses, there's no way I could see that.
Counting whitefish eggs. Researchers calculated that about 22,000 whitefish eggs would be stocked in the Jordan River on February 11th, 2026, by counting how many covered a 6-inch laboratory tool, then using a fisheries science equation. Guess they're capturing some here. Installing whitefish egg nurseries to riverbed. Fishery researchers with the Little Traverse Bay Bands of Ottawa bolt to Whitefish Egg Nursery to the bottom of the Jordan River in Antrim County on Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. The first yellow plastic nursery they installed can be seen under the water.
I've only had whitefish when it was smoked.
Oh yeah, wasn't that yeah, they're slightly fatty.
Mhm.
So, file photo of whitefish in Jordan River. The M Live file photo shows a whitefish incubator in the Jordan River near Mansalona, Michigan, February 5th, 2024. The Nature Conservancy in Michigan, the Little Traverse Bay Band of Ottawa Indians, and other partners have stocked this stretch of river with 100,000 lake whitefish eggs and yellow incubators as part of a species recovery effort that aims to imprint whitefish on northern Michigan rivers in the hopes they will return there to spawn.
I wonder how many of them will actually,
Make it?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a big question. Oh, these are juvenile whitefish swimming in a tank at Little Traverse Bay Bands of Ottawa Fish Hatchery in Emmett County, Michigan. Oh, that's not a river. Okay, let's head back. Mm. Oh, No, no, we're in it. Okay, so three fisheries researchers waded into the snow-framed Jordan River, racing against its chilly spring-fed current. A sled floated beside them, carrying an ice cooler packed with thousands of whitefish eggs tucked inside plastic nursery trays. They fought the current as they bolted the yellow nurseries to the riverbed. There, the eggs will hatch, releasing tiny whitefish into waters connected to the Great Lakes. Whitefish have declined because of invasive species and climate change. Okay, well, the first part, the invasive species, yeah, the Great Lakes has experienced many species of invasives in the area, including some sort of suckerfish, which I believe is from Asia. Basically, it has very distinct type teeth. The lamper, I think, actually, if you could look this freaky guy up, as well as Asian carp, also known as goldfish, have invaded the region by people releasing the fish into the region. Basically, the carp are extremely adaptive and they can just quickly take over a
Oh,
landscape. Do you find the lamprey?
I think so. Hold on.
Freaky little skinny guy with the teeth. There he is. These individuals will literally attach onto the sides of fish and slowly eat them.
Hold on, I'm
Um,
trying to find a more.
while the fish is still alive. It's almost as if the fish doesn't even notice. But yeah, these are extremely invasive in the region. There was a massive harvest, I think, for these individuals, and there's been a quite decline, I believe. So that is good to see because these are massive predators, or um, well, would call them massive, but in terms of quantity, they are. Yep. Geesh, look at that thing. It's really it's neat by an evolutionary standards, but for this distinctive ecosystem, that is not good. I don't know how they also got released into there as well. But carp and goldfish are really bad. I mean, you can just see it certain lakes or smaller lakes over in Minnesota, and they can just cover the area. And not a lot of animals eat them either. I mean, occasionally you might have it where a bear, maybe a wolf will grab a carp, but they're not necessarily preferred.
This thing reminds me of, oh, what was that movie?
Tremors,
No, um, Deep
maybe
something.
deep,
The
not
the
deep blue
the
sea.
one where the thing came up from under the ocean and grabbed
Is that where they were?
the cruise ship.
Oh yeah, that thing.
That's what it reminds me of when I'm looking at the interior of that, like, where they came up with the idea.
Yeah, it
Us.
could be. Um, yeah, it was sort of freaky. So let's see. I think it's that one. So let's see. Now scientists are testing whether rivers can serve as spawning refuges. We're hoping that they think that river smells like home, and when they're ready to come back and start a family, they come back to that area," said Chris Day, fish hatchery manager for the Little Traverse Bay Bands of Ottawa. Whitefish are a cornerstone of Great Lakes commercial and tribal fisheries. The species also carries historical and cultural significance for Anishinaabe peoples. So, Cariognis cupiformis, the whitefish. Whitefish were once abundant in the Great Lakes, but in recent years have suffered steep declines. Much of the decline is blamed on, oh, you guys have these too? Invasive zebra and quagga mussels. These are horrible over in different areas of Arizona. That's why, where you also see them attached to ships or large boats that apparently were in different parts of the Colorado River, which filter out phytoplankton at the base of the food web and leave less food for young fish. Declining winter ice cover has also taken a toll on eggs laid on shallow Great Lakes reefs. Now biologists are turning to Michigan rivers. Huh. I'm surprised that that has had a major negative on the whitefish. So yeah, I guess it's just the area they're releasing them. You can see a container over here, or towards the right side. So yeah, I guess they're just displaying them in different areas of the river, but maybe not too far from each other.
They're definitely dedicated to what they do.
Yeah, they seem to have a pretty good
Eh,
idea of where
he
to
looked
release them.
happy. Wait, did you see that guy?
Yeah.
Hold on.
So he could have been kind of frustrated to get it open.
We keep bending it back
So I
in.
guess, yeah, he's holding a tube of fish fry. Probably trying to.
He's trying to get him out.
I'm not sure he's trying to get him out or he's just trying to place them in a certain area.
He was shaking him.
Yeah, that's true. David Clapp, a conservation biologist for the Nature Conservancy, said the organization is working with the tribal fishery experts to stock whitefish eggs in high quality river habitat. They chose the Jordan River, which drains into Lake Charlevoix and ultimately Lake Michigan. Historically, they ran a lot of the rivers that run into the Great Lakes and have started rerunning or reestablishing in some of the tributaries in Green Bay. The overall goal of this project is to see where else they might be running. And then also where they're not, try to reestablish populations to help supplement the Great Lakes populations. Researchers believe rocky bottom rivers without invasive mussels may provide enough nutrients and phytoplankton for newly hatched whitefish to survive. Yeah, that's what I would expect. This is an experimental project, Clapp said, adding they will come back to look for larval fish. On Wednesday, February 11th, Conservancy and tribal researchers prepared the fish egg nurseries before leaving the tribe's hatchery in Pelston.
I don't know what you said at the end.
Pelston?
Oh,
First, they calculated that about 22,000 whitefish eggs would be stocked in the Jordan River that day. They spread the eggs into the waffle grid nursery trays and bolted them shut. So biologists say adult whitefish remain in the Great Lakes, but the population is aging. The river work is part of a broader effort to rebuild whitefish numbers after years of weak spawning classes, particularly in Lakes Michigan and Huron. Well, that is also, especially Lake Michigan has had a ton of problems. Probably Huron as well. These are all within these are Great Lakes. So, um, yeah, that's probably why. So I would think in these um, I would think in these distinctive river systems that it's the spawning rate, or not the spawning rate. Well, I guess you could say that too. It's going to work out a lot better. Okay, let's head over to the next video. So, some fox waking up from a nap over maybe in some part of the Northeast.
stretch. Uh, eh, okay. Uh,
That is a really slow wake up.
he's doing yoga. Hmm.
Stop hanging out with those Indian foxes.
What makes it slightly funny is that he's on camera, which means he doesn't know someone's watching and doesn't care, or
Yeah.
just doesn't care. Yeah, it's just like, okay.
Okay, so traveling to another part of the world from India.mongabay.com. Carnivores alter behavior to coexist in a high altitude Himalayan valley. Okay, so it looks like we've got a not Tibetan fox, but I think a Himalayan fox in the region, possibly a Eurasian fox with some hair.
Well, I hope it has hair.
Fox with like it de-haired. So, eyeing the trans-Himalayan landscape of Spitai, life is shaped by extremes. The air is thin, winters plunge to negative 40 degrees Celsius, and food is scarce for much of the year. For the region's carnivores, snow leopards, Himalayan wolves, red foxes, and an increasingly visible newcomer, free-ranging dogs. Oh, survival depends on navigating a landscape under growing human pressure. Actually, I'm a bit surprised that this is new with the free ranging dogs. Not that they're a good thing, but maybe I'm just associating with the Tibet Plateau of Western China. New research shows how these predators are quietly rearranging their lives to coexist. Studying them together is essential because none of them function in isolation. Each species' behavior and survival are shaped by the others and by human influence, says Priyanka Justa, a PhD student at the Wildlife Institute of India and the study's co author. Himachal Pradesh's Spiti Valley lies within the cold desert biosphere reserve. spanning elevations from about 3,600 to 6,700 meters. So I'm guessing over 18,000 feet. We are in the Himalayas. Snow leopards and Himalayan wolves occupy the top of the food web, while red foxes operate as smaller yet highly adaptable mid ranking predators. In the recent decades, free ranging dogs have joined this carnivore group, subsidized by food waste from villages and tourism. Spite is almost a natural stress test for understanding carnivore coexistence. Everything is scarce, seasonal, and highly concentrated. This naturally intensifies competition and makes trade offs between risk, food, and space much sharper and easier to detect. Okay, I'm going to pause right here. We're going to take a 2 minute break. We'll be right back. Okay, let's head back up in altitude. Let's see. Okay, for this study, the researchers focused on five areas across Spaitai Valley: Chandrato, Khyber, Pin Valley, Maine, and Gu, each differing in tourism intensity, settlements, livestock presence, predator prey dynamics, and the presence of dogs. Together, they represented a gradient of human impact from heavily visited trekking hubs to relatively restricted border zones. Yeah, definitely for like, I think Mount Everest, it's almost, I think it's like the most populated or tourist dense mountain on Earth, and quite disgusting too. Let's see. So here's a village.
That was funny.
Let's see.
Is he
Okay,
getting away from the village?
yeah, seems to be that way. This is Gray Wolf. Tell you what, for Himalayan Gray Wolf, he seems pretty healthy and looks much better than his southern relatives further south over in different parts of central India. A recent study exploring how carnivores in Spiti Valley coexist revealed that wolves avoided settlements more strongly and preferred less disturbed areas. Yeah, I mean, assume so, unless he has access to a lot of food in the region. So let's see. Given the animal's elusive nature and large ranges, the team relied on camera traps to observe them. Over two field seasons between August 2021 and August 2022, they deployed 205 motion sensitive cameras across the five sites, accumulating more than 8,000 camera trap days. Cameras were placed along trails, ridge lines, and areas with signs of animal movement, capturing images day and night rather than estimating population sizes. Researchers focused on spaced use, where species occurred, how often, under what conditions. The biggest challenge was that the species we were studying operate at very different spatial scales. To make a single comparable data set, we had to design a camera trap grid that was fine enough to capture foxes and dogs, even though this meant it was coarser than ideal for wide ranging species like wolves and snow leopards. So the results showed that Spite's carnivores share space in uneven ways. Red foxes proved the most flexible, frequently overlapping with other carnivores. They were more common where prey was abundant, even in areas used by snow leopards, wolves, or dogs, likely because foxes can exploit scavenging opportunities. Dogs, by contrast, stayed close to people, clustering around roads, settlements, and waste sites. These areas became zones of higher risk and competition. Free ranging dogs have become a central driver of how the entire system works. They're not just another species in the landscape. Their sheer numbers, driven by human subsidies, are reshaping how native carnivores use space and time, says Salvador Lindo, scientist at the W2 and the study's corresponding author. While dogs rarely overlapped with snow leopards, they showed an overlap with wolves, largely because both used roads and open terrain. Um, Yeah, I guess that would make sense, and they're dogs too. Wonder what he's got in his mouth. Oh, he got somebody. Maybe a pika in the region?
Oh, he's got somebody that he grabbed a person.
Ish, that's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate he grabbed a pika.
Yeah. Let's see. Some snow leopard in the morning. Where the dogs are too. Well, they do come in contact with shepherd dogs, but feral dogs, that's unfortunate. You don't want it where the feral dogs are spreading certain diseases in the region or viruses like canine distemper, rabies. When the animals could not fully avoid one another in space, they adjusted in time instead. Snow leopards, red foxes, and dogs all showed two daily peaks of activity, but the timing of these peaks shifted. Foxes became more nocturnal in areas with dogs, reducing the chance of encounters. They, however, did not significantly change their behavior when sharing space with snow leopards. Snow leopards cut back early morning activity where dogs were common. Yeah, I would assume so, but that is interesting, early morning activity. Um, but let's see. So the foxes did not change their behavior with the snow leopards. Well, somewhat higher dense snow leopard or higher snow leopard density, which I mean there aren't many snow leopards in general, but that's at least not surprising to hear with the foxes. They're not too concerned about the snow leopards. Snow leopards really don't hunt the foxes for the most part. Yeah, it's both having a negative effect for both carnivores, probably everybody in the region. The
Don't they
most
hunt sheep or goats or something?
Oh, yeah, there's a wide variety of prey species, but the dogs might be going after them in certain instances too. Yaks as well. So wolves responded differently,
Oh, wait,
different,
snow leopards go after yaks?
both domestic and wild yaks. Yep, they're both distinct species, like the domestic and the wild Bactrian two-humped camel. So wolves responded differently. They avoided settlements more strongly and preferred less disturbed areas, while dogs showed little behavioral change regardless of human presence. Yeah, that seems to make sense. The dogs just they need the human settlements in the area for access to food, more plentiful food. The study highlights how carnivores in Spaitai are adapting to cope with competition and growing human pressure. It also raises red flags. Instead of being structured mainly by body size and natural prey, predator hierarchy is increasingly structured by access to human subsidies and tolerance of human disturbance. Dogs are effectively becoming the dominant carnivore around settlements. Foxes persist through flexibility, also smaller, and apex predators like snow leopards are being pushed into making risky trade offs. Now you could say just because it's a smaller predator doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be more adaptive or um yeah, I guess you could just simply say adaptive. There are a wide variety of different small species of omnivores, which the fox is. It's going to be feeding on different species of berries and certain leafy vegetation as well. But there's many smaller species that cannot deal with massive disturbances or um, just different occurrences in their overall habitat or way of living compared to, let's say, the red fox. This makes the system fragile. Behavioral adjustment can only absorb on so much pressure. The most immediate and effective intervention is to manage the dog problem in key hotspot settlements through sterilization, vaccination, and proper waste management, and while protecting quiet core areas where native carnivores can still find refuge. Without addressing this mediated pressure, the delicate balance that allows spite-sized predators to coexist may not last. I'm surprised that they didn't mention culling, and also considering it's, Southern Asia. I was going to expect that. But instead, Australia is more determined to take out the feral dogs, considering how bad of an impact they have on the marsupial populations down in that country. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, okay. So, thanks for joining. We will see you at 6 p.m. today. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. And remember, that nothing is better than all animals all the time.